Hi everyone, welcome to Clade's Hour of Power Masterclass. We're just going to wait another minute or so for more participants to join the call and then we'll get started. Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for joining Clade's first Hour of Power Masterclass. I'm going to kick off with a bit of housekeeping, just some details of what you can expect from the session today. So the session is going to run for roughly an hour. We're definitely not going to take any more of your time. And depending on how many questions we get through during the session, we might finish a little bit short of that hour mark. In terms of format, we're going to start with a presentation to give you a bit of an introduction to the Power Platform and Power Apps before we move on to a live demonstration and walk through for the final 30 minutes or so of the session. All mics are muted on the call today, so if anyone does have any questions, please type them into the event Q&A box. We're going to do our best to answer them as we go through, and we'll follow up with any that we don't get to during the session once it's wrapped up. Right, moved ahead too quickly already. So your presenters today, well, my name's Katie. Some of you might know me already. I'm Clade's marketing manager. I'm based down in the Sydney office with my colleague Tej, who's also on the call today, and he's our Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform consultant. We're also lucky to be joined today by our regional director for Victoria, Nadija. Nadija is also a Microsoft certified trainer and a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of what Microsoft MVPs do or what that kind of position stands for. But Microsoft MVPs are chosen as being people who really kind of work hard to make people get the most out of Microsoft technology amongst the community. And I think in the 6 months or so that I've known Nadija, he really has lived and breathed that. In terms of what we're going to be covering today, I'm going to start with a quick introduction to our Hour of Power series, why we've decided to run the series and what you'll hopefully be getting out of them. There are a number of existing customers on the call today who are already working with Clade, but there are also some participants that we're not working with. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview about us and what we do and the products and services that we offer. Nadija is then going to give you an introduction to the Power Platform and Power Apps before we move on to showing you some use cases of Power Apps in the real world. We're then going to hand over to Tej, who's going to show you how you can create an app in Power Apps in less than an hour. So at the end of today's session, we really hope that you go away with an understanding of the basics of the Power Platform and Power Apps. We want you to be able to see some examples of real world applications built with Power Apps. And we want you to go away with an understanding of how you can create your own app in under an hour. So just a quick introduction to our Hour of Power series. As I said, many of you on the call are existing Clade customers, and you should have hopefully received a request to complete a customer satisfaction survey from us back around August. And then hopefully the results not long after that. And one of the really resounding kind of pieces of feedback that we received as a response to this customer survey was requests for more kind of tips and tricks and masterclass style sessions around Microsoft technology and how we can help you to do more with it. So we decided to run this series for anybody who's interested in getting started with the Power Platform. Each of the sessions that we're going to be running is going to cover a different component of the Power Platform. We're going to be running through until February, I think it is, and we're going to be showing you a different part, how you can use it and how you can create a business application with each of those components. So each of the sessions stands alone, so you can join all of them. You can join us for one or two, and we're going to be recording them as we go. So if you want to watch any back, then you're welcome to do that as well. As I mentioned, a number of you will already be familiar with Clade and what we do, but for those of you on the call who aren't familiar with us, then here's a little bit about us, I suppose, in one slide. We're a Microsoft consultancy, and we're recognized as a Gold Microsoft partner. We also, as I mentioned, have an MVP on the team in Nadija. We cover almost all of Australia, or the key cities and locations within Australia. So we have 60 staff, all Australia-based, located in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, and the NT. And we've really experienced some rapid growth, particularly over the last few years. And actually, those two offices I just mentioned then, Victoria and Queensland, both opened within less than the last 12 months, actually. So our consulting expertise and offerings cover the Microsoft stack, but we have core competencies in Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Azure. Our expertise and experience crosses a number of different industries, as you can see from the customer logos that I've highlighted here. But we have particular experience and expertise in a few key sectors, being not-for-profits, government, and some of those high-risk industries. And that's due in large part to the two products that we've created and built using Microsoft technology. The first of those being CAMS, which is our membership management solution. And we work with a number of associations across Australia to help them to improve and enhance their membership experience using CAMS. And we also have a workplace health and safety solution, SCRIM, which is actually built on the Power Platform and using Power Apps. So it's a really great example, I think, of Power Apps and Power Platform in practice. There's a lot of P's. And I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Nadija, who's going to start with an introduction to the Power Platform and Power Apps.
Thank you, Katie. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, excellent. Okay, good morning, everyone. So I'll first kick off with just a bit of an introduction on Microsoft Power Platform. So Microsoft, several years ago, they built this Power Platform, which is a low-code platform, and that spans across Office 365, Azure, and Dynamics 365. Now, the main reason they built this is to allow people, or customers, end users, to build applications in organizations very quickly and get a lot of business value faster. So one of the first things we got is the Power Apps. Now, Power Apps is which is what we're going to talk a bit more about today, and in upcoming sessions, we will talk more about the Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. So Power Apps is an application development platform, and you have different flavors of Power Apps, and you can build by drag and drop interface from a web browser. You can build enterprise-grade applications. And then you got Power Automate, where you can automate some routine tasks. Instead of manually doing them, you can use Power Automate to connect to different data sources. It could be within Microsoft ecosystem or even outside of Microsoft ecosystem. There's about 400 plus different connectors available for you to interact with lots of different systems. And then you also got Power Virtual Agents, which is a chatbot application. Again, you don't need coding skills to create a chatbot. You can build your logic, and it's also got AI capabilities to understand natural languages. When you type in a normal conversation, Power Virtual Agent can understand and figure out what you're trying to, what you're asking. And finally, there's Power BI. So Power BI is the world-leading data analytics platform. And to sum everything up, all the data that gets collected from all different systems, you can bring together into nice interactive dashboards and reports. Okay, so what is Power Apps? So Power Apps is a suite of applications where you can connect to lots of different data sources and create custom applications. Now there are three flavors of Power Apps. One's called Canvas apps, model-driven apps, and portals. Now we have a separate session to talk about the portal solution. Portal is it's like a content management system where you can build websites, portal solutions for external users. Now with the Canvas and model-driven, it's generally targeted for internal users. Yeah, you can integrate Power Apps with Outlook, SharePoint, Dataverse, Excel, any kind of data connector, data source. The main sort of vision behind Power Apps is that it is to democratize the custom app development and experience to all users, not just for professional developers. Yeah, so just wanted to quickly talk about the citizen developer concept. Now it came up, very recently. Usually we have professional developers who write code in C#, .NET, JavaScript. You really need to learn how to write code to build applications with those in the past. But now with Power Platform and Power Apps, you can get pretty much anyone to build an application. Even if you're a high school student, a teacher, a nurse, office administrative worker, or anyone who's familiar with, let's say, Excel or PowerPoint. If they can write an Excel formula, I would say you can be a citizen developer. So the whole idea is that from IT, corporate IT can provide a platform and enough access to build applications and a runtime to run the applications, and you could build an application and share it with your colleagues. Now, professional developers can use Power Apps as well, and they are. Like, for example, companies like us, consulting companies, we build enterprise applications, and our developers use the Power Platform to build applications. They can also write applications, extend the power of Power Platform and Power Apps with the other functionality that you find in Microsoft Azure, SQL databases, extend those and build some more advanced features for the Power Apps and then make more advanced Power Apps. But the key message here is that the Power Platform is for all developers, citizen and the pro developers alike. Yeah, so I mentioned before, this is a low-code, no-code platform, and we don't expect anyone to have any prior knowledge of any coding experience. You can very easily pick up. So that's the key, very interesting part of the Power Apps, and the reason why it has exploded in the usage, because pretty much anyone can quickly learn how to build an app, and you can build an app within really hours that is actually usable in a sort of a production enterprise environment. Okay, so I'll quickly go through a couple of the two key different applications, the types of Power Apps. One is a Canvas app. Now, like the name suggests, it is a blank canvas. You can do anything with it. You can make applications to look anything, whatever you like, from user experience point of view. And you also can connect to multiple data sources and build and get data and present data, collect data, and visualize them in any way you like. You got a very flexible platform. And then you also got the model-driven apps. Now, if you are an existing, let's say, Dynamics 365 user, this is quite familiar to you. The reason is that the Dynamics 365, one of the leading CRM systems in the world, is using Power Platform to build apps, and they are model-driven apps. The key difference is it's quite structured. Your navigation on your left, and you got on the top, you got buttons, and you can create lists, forms, dashboards, charts, etc. And then they're very structured, and the data model is relational as well. So there's all the data in model-driven app is using this data source we call Dataverse, and then you can also connect to external data as well using virtual entities. So this is a quick sort of a comparison between the Canvas apps and model-driven apps. In general, Canvas apps are highly customizable, and model-driven apps are quite structured, the user interface. Canvas apps can connect to any kind of data source, pretty much. Model-driven apps are primarily using Dataverse, but you can also connect to external data using virtual tables. It's really Canvas apps ideal for task-based or role-based applications, whereas the model-driven apps is more like end-to-end business processes. So if you have lead to opportunity and order kind of process, end-to-end business process, model-driven apps are the best solution rather than going for a Canvas app. Canvas apps very UI first application. So you would use Canvas apps if you are after very particular pixel perfect application, whereas the model-driven app you would use, it's very data first. And the other thing is, because of the nature of Canvas apps, it's sort of fixed. It's better to sort of choose your form factor, if it's a tablet or mobile, and then stick to that. Whereas model-driven apps responsive, so you can build once, and then it'll automatically adjust to a mobile format, or a desktop format, or a tablet format. Okay, so now I'll quickly go through 5 different examples, different types of examples where Power Apps is used. The first example is an NFC Scanner, an inspection manager. So I'll play that very quickly. So in this application, it actually can scan using your phone's NFC, which is a near field communication technology. You can scan sort of NFC tag, which is used for credit card scanning, PayWave kind of technology, and then you can scan equipment and then use that information to fetch other information, and then fill a form like forklift inspection in this case. So then we can easily tie it to the inspection with that asset. So that's one example. So Tej, our consultant who's on the call today, who's going to talk about how to build an app, he actually builds this one. The next one, this was actually built by my son, Janelle. So he built this for a competition, and this app is actually using obviously built on Power Apps, and it uses AI Builder. Now, AI Builder is actually part of the Power Platform, so you can create an AI model using AI Builder, using very simple interface. You can upload images and train a AI model to identify certain images in this case, and then you can drag and drop that as a component into Power Apps. And then from there, you can then easily use it. So in this case, we take a photo from the phone, and then we can send it to the AI model to figure out what that is, and then it identified that it's an Oreo. So it's very, very cool, handy feature. And this one, so this is more business-like. So this is a leave request application. Now this application connects to Office 365, and then also and to store data, and also send emails. So in this case, you can log in as an employee. You can have a look at your leave balances, and then you can submit the leave request. So when you submit the leave request, you can pick your manager, which will come in a second. From here, you can pick your manager. You can pick the type of leave, and put some information and submit this. So once it's submitted, an email will send to the manager, and then he can actually log into the same app and approve that leave request. So that's another bit more common business scenario. And the next one, a fourth example, is a Fundraiser app. Now this one is a model-driven app. You can see it is quite well structured. You can see the navigation on the left-hand side, the buttons on the right-hand side, and this is actually a dashboard. So you can open this visual filter, where you can, if you click on one of those, it actually filters the data like you can see here, to the information just based on that filtered information. So this is very a model-driven one, again, very business-focused, and very well structured. Now you can extend and put additional customizations and specific UIs as well, but in general, we try to stay within the UI structure with the model-driven apps. And lastly, here's a bit of a fun one. So with this one, this is actually a game. So with Power Apps, you can do animations. So if you have any specific needs, specific type of, maybe in a manufacturing kind of environment, if you want to have images and animations, you can actually build very specific this kind of game, or interactive, quite nice applications with Power Apps. So that's a fun one that was built by Scott Duro, one of the very famous community leaders in the Dynamics and Power Platform space. Now I would like to hand over to Katie again, and she'll actually show you, talk about some of the real world applications that we built at Clade. Should I go to the next one, Katie?
Katie, you're mute.
Sorry, yeah, next slide, perfect. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'm really excited to share this real world Power Apps use case. I think this is a really great example of Power Apps in practice, and actually we might have a few of the Tourism NT on the call, team on the call today. So in 2020, Tourism NT launched a tourism voucher program to support the Northern Territory tourism industry, which was affected, obviously, as we all know, by the impact of COVID and lockdowns. And actually, Tourism NT, I think, was the first jurisdiction in Australia to design and launch this type of tourism voucher concept, and other states have since kind of followed their lead. So due to the popularity of the program and the number of vouchers that were being requested, vouchers were released in series of rounds. And during the second release round, residents were offered a bonus $200 if their chosen experience, so that might be anything from camping to jet skiing, involved traveling over 400 kilometers from their place of residence. I know from having talked to Adam and the team at Tourism NT that existing processes were becoming difficult to manage because of the number of applications that were coming through, and the time taken to process them was starting to grow significantly. So to process these bonus voucher claims, the Tourism NT team worked with Clade, in particular Adrian, who's up in our Brisbane office, to develop a streamlined bonus claim solution using Power Apps. And so I think this is a really great takeaway actually from this use case. The team went from taking an estimated 12 minutes to process one bonus claim to just 16 seconds. I think some of the feedback that's come back from the team there is that it's really this kind of low code, no code, rapid development capability that's enabled them to move quickly to be able to meet the needs of the tourism industry up in the Northern Territory. And so now I think we're going to move on to Tej, who's going to, if you don't mind just sharing your screen, Tej, I will share it with the audience now.
Can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
All right, everybody. So for today, we're going to do kind of a leave employee portal or a leave portal, which we built on Power Apps. This is something that we've already built, and I want to show you from start to end how it would look like, and then go into a blank canvas and create something similar. Essentially, what you see here is a canvas app. We've kind of kept it really simple. It's got a logo, it's got a background, it's got a few buttons which do different things, including some containers. And what the whole premise around this is an employee can log into this portal, go to the My Leave section, which will load up all the leaves that they have applied for. That then will kind of see what status their leaves are sitting in. Maybe they've been rejected or approved, or if they want to raise another leave request, they can simply click on the plus button and create a new leave. You can see that we can automatically detect what the employee, who the employee is, and populate certain fields. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to select some random dates. Select a leave type. Select a manager. I'm just going to select myself so I don't send any notifications out. And yes, so once this form is submitted, it sends out an email as well as a notification saying that to the manager saying, you know, you got a leave in process. Can you have a look at it and send them a link to the app as well? So applications, and once you've filled it in, you just simply hit submit. That will take you back. That will give you a banner on the top saying, yeah, it's all good. It's been approved. And if I go back into my leaves, you can see that I have 2 leaves that are currently sitting in submitted state. The whole idea is also I can be an approver and I need to approve someone's leaves. So basically I'm a manager of someone and I need to approve leaves. I can simply log into the same portal. If I have the manager title, I'll see the approved leaves, and that can be controlled using security roles. Go into approve leaves and you can see there's 2 pending items for me to approve or reject. I can simply decide to approve the leave, which is the one that I had earlier. That will say that leave application has been approved, and the employee would be notified. And now you can see that that application for leave has been approved. So that's basically the idea. An employee can log in, raise a leave, or approve a leave for someone they are a manager of. That's a Canvas app. That's more of how Nadija explained. It's more drag and drop. You can have more custom UI, but I want to show you the other end of business, which is your model-driven apps. Essentially, you have all your employees listed here. I'm the only employee in this organization. So if I go into that record, I'll be able to see all my details, contracts, something else that can be looked into. But today I'm interested in leaves. I can go into leaves and see all the leaves that I've applied for, or this person's applied for, all the leave applications that were applied for, and what the statuses was. So as Nadija mentioned before, this is more process oriented. more structured, and that's the whole idea here. What we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through first from kind of walking you through creating a blank canvas app to kind of something that can submit, and then create a model-driven app again from scratch. All right, I'm going to start from the screen. So if you want to kind of start making a new app, what you need to do is going to go to make.powerapps.com. I've already selected what needs to be done, but usually you'll go to the site navigation, click on create. That will bring you to 3 ways of making an app. Now, we're going to talk about Canvas app in this session, a model-driven app. Portals is for another session. We could talk about that as well. If you don't want to start from a blank canvas, this is more of a blank canvas scenario. You can start from a data source that will create some pre-selected screens for you, like a create screen, update screen, and a delete screen, and an edit screen as well. It also gives you the idea that you have certain templates available for you. Some of the templates Nadira showed in earlier as well, like a leave application thing, which is much more sophisticated than what I'm going to be showing you. And that's the whole scenario where you can create a blank one from a data source or from templates. And these templates are actually updated on a monthly basis. Microsoft keeps adding new ones, and you can kind of search them here. All right, so once I'm ready, I'm going to click on Canvas, blank canvas app, which I've already done. You can provide a name to the app. You can do all of that. I'm going to start with, I'm going to talk in this kind of app. We're going to talk about how to create buttons, how to add media, how to kind of drag and drop the general look and feel of the app, and then add a form and submit the form. Once you've submitted the form, I'm going to show you how to show a notification saying this form has been submitted, and then redirect to a success screen. All right, first things first, I want to upload some media files. On the site navigation, you have this icon here. You can see the icons by clicking on this, gives you the names of this. Once you start using this player more and more, you will see that you'll remember by the icons. If not, then you can just click on to see the name. Click on upload to upload icons. Here, okay, media, that one, sorry. Got too many images. But you can see that I have all the backgrounds and the logos that I need. So I'm going to select that, open that. It'll basically load up all the media I have. It can take JPEGs, it can take SVGs, it can take PNG. If you try uploading something that's not an image file, it will stop you from doing that. And it can upload up to 200 MBs. So each of these apps has about 200 MBs. We're only using about 528 KB, so that's good. So what you can do to add a media is you can simply drag and drop the media on top of the screen, and that will add it. Or you can go to the media section here, select an image, that will put an image thing here. On the right-hand side, the component that you've selected has got certain properties, pretty standard properties like the size, the position. If you drag and drop, you can see that position updates, and you can simply move the image. I want to have the image here. I want to have the image on the half of the page, so kind of here. And then I want to select the image itself. I want the clay background one, which is this one. If I don't like it, I can change the background at any time, maybe this one or this one. I like this one, so I'm going to save it this one. And I'm going to decrease the size slightly. So that's how you can add an image to the form itself. I also want a logo, so I'm going to do a drag and drop. And once I do that, you can see a new image tab's been added. I want the logo to be here. I want to resize it. I can size it from here, or I can resize it from here as well. So maybe I'll make it 100. That all works like that. If I go to the preview, what that means is I can see all the components. I can rename these components by selecting on them. So I can give the screen a new name. Double click on that. I will, sorry, not that. You can rename the images as well. So this is the logo image. Just to make it nice, just to make when you have a lot of components on the screen, it's nice to have them labeled properly. All right. Now I'm going to show you how to add a label because you want to give this page a name, and you can go into the text menu here, get a label that will show up here. You can drag and drop here, and you can expand it all the way here. Now, if you use PowerPoint, PowerPoint shows you grid view, and this is doing the same way. It tells you which element ends where, and you can map that up. Now, if you go to the Home tab here, you have all the options for editing this, or you can, as I showed before, all the label properties are here. I want this to be about 20 big, and I want it to be in bold. Now, I want the alignment to be right oriented, so I'll put it here, and I want to put the name. I can double click on that, or I can go here and change the name. This is PowerFX. This is quite similar to what you would write in Excel formulas. As I go through the session, I will show you more and more how to use these formulas. But at the moment, I'm just going to change the text. The text is going to be employee leave request. That's what I'm going to show. Now, once I've done that, what usually you can do is you can kind of, once you've built a number of apps, you'll tend to reuse the formulas more and more. So I like to copy paste my formulas from other screens and into the app itself. You can also copy paste kind of components as well. So I can copy paste the backgrounds. I can do that. That's all available. The next thing that I want to do is essentially insert a form. I want to add a form, which is an edit form, because I want them to be able to input data. So click on edit. You can see that I can drag and drop the form as well. And I'm going to resize it. I'm going to leave space here for a submit button. Now it says that this form is not connected to any data. So what you can do is we already have some data sources, which is Dataverse, already added to this app before I started. And I want to create an employee leave application. So you can see that it automatically helps you when you type something to give you an idea of what it is. You select that. It says, all right, I know this is a valid data source, but now you need to add some fields because it's a form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on edit fields. I'm going to go add fields. It will show me all the available add fields that I have. So for example, I want the employee. I want the start and the end date. So leave end and the start date, leave description, and then the manager tab itself. So if I do that, just simply click on add. And that will add all the fields to the form itself. Now I can see that I have too many columns. I want to reduce the number of columns. See that there's the column property. All I have to do is put that to 1. That will make my column a bit more, my form a bit more readable. I can actually drag and drop the orientation of these fields. Sorry, the sequence of these fields. I want the employee first. I want the start date here, so I can just drag and drop there. I've got the leave start date, the leave end date, and the leave description date. Now, a really cool feature is that you can actually hold the Alt key and interact with the form itself. So rather than, kind of waiting for it to work or, finishing it, you can test it as you go. There's also this play button here, which will show you the whole screen in the new form, like in the full form. Now, you saw what happened there. This actually shows you in the real world how the application would behave, and it shows you the error says there's no item to display. Now, we want to create a new item, hence we have to set the default mode of this form to new. Select that to new. If now I go in preview, you can see that the form stays there. So going to repeat what I've done so far. It's a bit handful. So I added a media file by uploading images to the media. Then I decided to drag and drop my logo and my background into the canvas. I've done that. I've added a label, changed its size, made it bold. Then I've decided to have a form to submit data. I've gone to the forms field, added an edit form, connected to a data source, added some fields using edit fields, and then adjusted the columns to be one column. And once I've done that, I've rearranged the fields, and now I'm ready, and I've changed it to default mode new. The next step that I want to do is kind of create a thank you screen saying the form has been submitted. So how you can do that is you can actually click on new screens on top, create a blank screen, rename the screen. Once you're ready, what you do is go to the media tab, do the same thing. I want a different background now. Do the same thing here. I want the logo. Just trying to show how easy it is to add the media content, add more stuff easily, and create a new screen. I want a label that says thank you. So I'm going to go into label. Change that text to thank you. And make that the primary text here. Change it to 72 because thank you should be big. And then that's pretty much it. Now I have a home screen. I have a thank you screen. I want to kind of have two buttons. One is to submit this form, and one is to go back from here to the home screen. Now I can actually literally add an icon here. Say home. Have the icon be listed here. And this icon can have a tooltip or an action. So I'm going to add a tooltip here first and see what it shows. At home. Okay. Home. And when I hold my Alt key, back to home there. Cool. Now I'm going to add a formula here, and this is where the power FX comes into play. Like in your Excel, you have formulas to add or subtract. Here, it is more natural formulas. Like if you want to navigate to a page, you'll simply type navigate. In the brackets, you'll type home screen. That's it, done. That's all good. And when you hold this key and hit that, you're back to the home screen. That's all we wanted to do. Now, what we've done there, we created a second screen called thank you screen, added some media, added some labels, which I've shown you before, added a new icon from the icon tab, clicked on that, gave it a tooltip, gave it a navigation function, which is basically navigate to the home screen, and that's pretty much it. Now I want to submit this form. I want to add a new button. You will go into your bar here, select button. That will automatically add a button. Drag and drop's fairly simple. We do the same thing over and over again. We're going to change the text of this button. The submit button. This is a display mode edit because you want to use this button. At the moment, if I select this, doesn't do anything, which is pretty useless for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to submit this form, display a notification, redirect it to our thank you button, thank you screen. So we select this button, start typing again. Again, like I said, these are very natural formulas. I want to submit a form, so I type submit form. I give the name of the form. And then I want to send a notification. So I click notify. I want the text to read. And sorry, I forgot to mention, when you type a formula, it actually tells what it needs. So you don't have to always remember a formula. You can start typing and it'll give you examples. And you can have multiple actions in a sequence. So you submit, then you want to notify. So you notify. So once the submit finishes, it will notify success. Your form has, let's make it more specific. Your leave request has been submitted. And it will ask what the notification type is, and you give me 3 values as well. So it's an error, it's an information, or success. It's a success. So select success. Ask me timeout. So timeout is basically how long the banner should last. It's in milliseconds. I want it for 4 seconds. That's it. We have our navigation button. We want to navigate to thank you. We write the sequence, navigate to thank you. And I want to reset the form after that so that the information that has been entered is reset. So I type reset, gives me the values. We have 2 values. I want to reset the form. So reset, select the form. It already tells me what forms I have. And that's pretty much a formula. So we've actually written quite a few things here just to tell what it is. I want to submit the form, so submit form. I want to notify after it's submitted, notify, which has a success type, which is basically which is a notification type success. And then we want to navigate to the thank you screen and reset the form. That's what we have done, and pretty much we're ready to go. I have an employee that I want to find. That's myself. I have a manager, which is again myself. I do a leave request from this date. Select OK. That date. Select OK. Leave description. It is requested. Once you're ready, submit. There you go. Your leave request has been submitted. Thank you. And that's what we wanted to do. And once you're ready, you click on the home screen and your form has been reset. Just to really quickly summarize, we created a home screen, added some media, added a form, did some configuration to rearrange the form fields, added a submit button, added the formula to submit the form, notify, that's been done, navigate to the thank you screen, and reset the form itself. If I go back to the thank you screen, we add some media, some label, added an icon. On the icon, we just want to navigate back to home. We've done that. Now, I want to show you where the data is going. So we're going to create a model-driven app. Again, come back to make.powerapps.com, select model-driven app from blank. And again, templates are available. You can add some templates for model-driven apps. You can do all of that. Click on model-driven app, take it to the app designer, give it a meaningful name. So leave management version 2, maybe. Just name it all small, leave management 2. Give it a description, leave management. Default image, click done. That now is generating a model for you guys to create something called as a sitemap. I know it's much different to the canvas that we were practicing on earlier, which is all drag and drop. But because this is processing oriented, the UI would be generated by the system itself. So all you need to tell it is what the sitemap is, what the components need to be added, and it will generate the app. For reference, I'll go back to my reference screen. I provide the information, what entities that need to be added, what tables that I want to interact with. It will generate this UI for me. So, designer, click on sitemap, edit the sitemap. There's 3 things. Area is a combination of groups and sub areas. Let me really quickly add that. So area is essentially this whole app is an area. This is the group. These are the sub areas. So if I have to rename all of this, you click on that, name this maybe employee. Give the group a name, which is basically leave management. Give a sub area type. So I want to select an entity, and you can have a dashboard. You can create a dashboard. That's something that we can go through. And we select the entity. So I want the user entity to be part of this. So you got the user entity there. Click on here, add a new sub area, and an entity. I want the leaves entity to show up. So I have the employee leave. It automatically names that for me. And I select the entity again, which is the leave one, which is the one which is left. So the application one. Now you can see that it's giving me a preview that this is going to cut off. So I can actually go here and give it a title myself. So leave application. What have we done here? We've created an app, which is the employee one. We've added a group. A group is basically a sequence of different entities or dashboards. And then we've added the entities and the dashboards itself here. Once you're ready, you can save. And you can see the publish buttons available. You click publish. Now we wait and kind of wait. Once it's done, save and close. Again, before I go away from here, added some entities, hit publish, save and close. You can see that the entities been added all them by themselves. Now, what I can do is I can select what forms should show up. I have a number of forms which are system generated. I can select which forms should show up. I only and only want the employee details forms to show up, and I'm just going to select that. Hit save. You can validate if you want, but in this case, I'm just going to hit publish. Before I show you the end result, just to recap what we did, we went back to make.powerapps, created a model-driven app from blank. It opened up the app designer, which led us to a sitemap. We provided it with a sitemap, which is basically what components you want to be added into your app. Once we've done that, it adds all the entities here, and we can select what we want to show up. Once we're done with that, we hit save, we publish, and we play. And you can see that the app has been generated for us, and it's been generated exactly how we kind of provide the sitemap. That's the group that we named it. That's the entities that we selected, so the sub areas. And that's the forms, that's the views that we selected, and that's the data that we have in the system. We only have one employee, we know that. We click on that, and this is the form that we were looking at the previous app. We go into leave section. All the data is in the system. We have the leave data here. Because we missed out at certain fields, we can see that on the app, on the Canvas app itself. No leave type. See that that's not been populated. We can put that field back, and that's why I left it out. We can go back here, click on the form, we can click on edit fields. We can add a field at any time. I just want to add the leave type. Done. Same thing, drag and drop it here. Now you can see the scroll bars showing up. I don't want the scroll bar to show up. I can move the submit button directly below here. Go back here, move the form a bit more here. Done. That's it. I can hit File, Save. And I can preview this form again. Now, if I select myself, all the way, do the same thing. Add the annual leave, start date, end date. Does the same thing. Go back. I go back to my user data, hit refresh. So see that I have just submitted a new one. I think that's the one. Maybe that's the one. That's the one that I've submitted just yet. 54 a.m. And it is that simple. In under about 20 minutes, I know where to click and things like that, but with time becomes really easy to use. It is kind of natural because you're doing drag and drop, everything is in meaningful language. A form's a form, a media is a media, a button's a button. Navigate function navigates somewhere, submit form submits a form, reset form resets the form, and notification sends a notification. That's pretty much how a Canvas app is designed. The model-driven app is designed based on your entities and forms, and all you need to do is define a sitemap and hit publish. It generates the app for you, it generates the UI for you. It is fully responsive, so if I make it smaller, it will change size. And essentially, that's the whole idea. Yeah, that is all from my side, Katie.
Thank you, Tej. That was a really great, swift walkthrough. We're just going to give, I think we're running out of time, but we're just going to give you the chance to ask any final questions that might be coming through. I think there have been a few coming through during this session. So if there are any more, then please send them through the Q&A now.
I can talk about a couple of the questions that came through, Katie. If you like.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, there was a question about CDS or Dataverse as the mandatory data source. Now, generally for model-driven apps, CDS is the core. So when you provision a model-driven app, there are some core data already in Dataverse, but you can also connect to external data sources like Azure SQL or any other data source. There are some limitations. For example, you need to have a GUID field in that data source, so you can connect to a model-driven app. But as long as you have those requirements satisfied, then you can connect to external data sources. The only thing with virtual entities, because it's getting data from externally, there's no caching process, so it can be a little bit slower than that you would expect in the data stored in Dataverse itself. That's first question. And there was another question about, can we call Power App REST or SOAP web services through Power Apps to access data? So what you can do is, because the Power Automate is sort of natively integrated with Power Apps. So you could use Power Automate actions to call external web services like HTTP or SOAP. SOAP interfaces require a little bit more steps, but it is possible to connect to external data source web service and get the data into Power Apps. Now, only thing is, Power Automate runs asynchronously, so you have to decide how you wanna use that. And there's another question about.
Yeah, DJ, after this one, I'm going to have to cut you off because I think we're going to run out of time. But do you want to just answer this last one briefly?
That's fine. Yeah. So the last one was, can you change a column data type? Yes, you can, and it was released like a month ago. But only certain data types you can change. So there are some links I've added, so you can have a look.
Fantastic, thank you. No, I think I accidentally just flipped through a couple of my screens too quickly, but I just wanted to wrap up by saying thank you to everyone for attending. This is the first of the kind of masterclass style sessions that we've actually run, so we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how you found it. You'll receive an email in the next couple of hours with a recording of the event, and we'd love to hear what you thought of the session, and if you think anything, if there's anything you'd like to have seen covered, please let us know. It really is how we keep on improving, so feel free just to reply directly to the email that you get from us. Now, the next hour of Power Masterclass sessions taking place in a few weeks on the 1st of December, so please do join us for the next event. We're going to be looking at Power Apps portals, and in the Power Apps portals masterclass, you'll be learning how you can use portals to create low-code responsive websites for users inside and outside your company. We're also going to show you some examples of other companies and how they're using this technology. We actually work with a number of organizations on their community portals, on their self-service portals, and more. So please join us for that. And if you'd like to know anything more about Power Apps, if you'd like to talk to us in more depth about anything that we've talked about today, or if you need help with the custom design and build of a custom application, then please do get in touch. A number of you might know my colleague Shanice. She's actually recently transitioned into a new customer success manager role, and we're really delighted to have appointed her into that position. So you can reach out either in response to the email that you'll get shortly, or you can contact Shanice directly after the session at the email address that's on the screen. And if you'd like to know more about us, then you can visit our website, clague.com.au, and please also go and check us out on LinkedIn. It's where we share announcements and details of events like this. But I think that's everything from us today. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we hope to see you on the 1st of December at the next session. Thank you.